What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We're talking about the latest and greatest cybersecurity news, as well as behind those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Chris Epcot.
What's going on, everybody?
What is up? So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask Us SP, and then Fridays everything else, movies, sports, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article actually comes from cbsnews.com. It's written by Chris Hoffman, right? And this one is Washington County pays $350,000 ransom after cyber attack, right? So what ended up happening was they were held hostage, right? Some ransom was asked for, right? When the county services were held captive, so to speak. And so they voted, they did a vote 2-1, right? So their board of commissioners is only 3 people apparently, right? To pay $350,000 for this ransom payout, right? So we've talked about this before. We've gone into this, right? Like there are avenues to take with something like this, especially when you're a government agency, right? Like, so this is a county in Washington, Pennsylvania, Washington County, Pennsylvania, right? So, there are avenues to go to, right? Like you can go to CISA, I believe is one of them. I believe there's more than one in the government you can lean on for assistance in these types of things. And they tell you do not pay these ransoms, right? Because it's one of those things where it's like dealing with children, right? Like if you give them something when you don't want them to do something else, like if you redirect them by rewarding them for something, they're going to keep doing that behavior, right? Same type of thing here, right? Because you paid that $350,000, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, all right, well, we could do it again, right? Maybe even to the same place. Like, why not go back to the same place? Hit that well again. Give it a year, right? And then do it again, and then be like, well, you paid last time, right? Just they're gonna bleed that well dry, man. And this is what's crazy about this is do not pay it. Like, yes, you may not have access to your services for a little while, but you don't have to worry about this happening in the future. And it'll be a lesson learned on how you need to protect yourself, right? So it's just I don't understand how we keep getting to this point where people are paying the money for the different things like this, right? So I mean, as part of a success for this, right? And I don't mean to say, okay, what I just said, remove all of that, but the county said they got 80% of its system has been restored since paying the ransom, right? So at least they were truthful in this one, right? Because we've seen a case where they're just like, nah, we're still going to release everything even after you pay. You know what I mean?
Correct.
They think you didn't pay enough, right? Like we've talked about this. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many different ways to say this, you know what I mean? To be like, hey, this is what you need to do, but this is where we're at, you know what I mean? So Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, really, like, yeah, you're definitely spot on. And really, I want to talk about kind of the preventative. In this case, I always think prevention, being proactive in these types of scenarios is the best course of action. But really, after the fact, right? I mean, consulting with CISA, like you said, or local and maybe federal law enforcement, right? There are definite avenues of approach regarding restoration of your services. I mean, what was the business case for this specific county? They probably had we don't know their specific risk analysis they conducted to want to pay this at this point in time if they were above budget or whatever. But yeah, I'm definitely with you on the fact that, hey, people or companies or governments should not be negotiating with terrorists, right? But in this case, right, I was just curious as to their backup processes. How they isolated the infected systems, right, or if they even consulted with cybersecurity professionals during the attack or post attack, right? Maintaining education, access controls, all that stuff, regular backups, and really specifically backups and restoration for this specific scenario would have been ideal for this particular organization. But really, I think this is one of those cases where education and really taking a level of care, running tabletops, CISA has them out there, right? The tabletop exercises to simulate these attacks, really being proactive with this. And really, to me, this sounds like a case of, I think they kind of panicked and they just needed to pay the ransom just to get back into service because they didn't have a process in place. I mean, as you can see, they had a 2-1 vote. So that showed to me that they're relatively immature as an organization in terms of their scope and size, right? So they didn't invest into cybersecurity. We don't know what their infrastructure was, but again, in this case, I think education, maybe in this case, a post-incident review of some sort, and I surely believe that they will be updating their incident response plan if they even had one, right? And then, maybe install some type of source SIM solutions, to monitor anomalies. But at the end of the day, right, they would need to consult, I think, my opinion, like law enforcement organizations and maybe even lawyers and legal actions, because there's all types of layers um of consequences that they have to now be able to mitigate.
Yeah. I think the real problem, and I don't know, like, so overseas, you cannot pay the ransom.
Mhm.
It's law now. You cannot pay ransom. In the States, because of freedom, right? So I'm not going to knock freedom. I love freedom. I enjoy freedom. You can't tell a company they can't pay. You cannot, or at least not right now. That just cannot be put into law. That would take a lot of heavy moving to say like uh free market cannot pay ransom any longer, right? It's just discouraged, highly discouraged. Like we will give you lots of avenues to help you to mitigate the damage and to hopefully get your systems back online, or retrieve your money if you do decide to pay, which may be the case, right? Maybe we'll have another story a week or two from now where a lot of that money is recovered. But in the meantime, like my problem is where that money come from. So you 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 did not invest in your infrastructure. Like apparently you didn't have backups or you didn't have a hot or cold warm site, something. You were not able to restore
Mhm.
anything. They said they were completely paralyzed. So whatever business continuity plan or disaster recovery plan that they had, and if it existed, it failed miserably. So they had to vote and then pay the ransom. That money came from taxpayers who uh, that money's just gone now. What was it going to be used for? It was going to be funding for schools. Like where in the budget did $350,000 come from?
Mhm.
And now it's just gone. And they could have paid and not got their systems back. Uh, or they could pay and then these people can still come back and ask for more money. Like now we want another 100 grand to because we're gonna cripple you again. Like that's my problem with it isn't necessarily that they felt they had to pay. The problem is like, what did you do proactively, like Chris said? But then uh like what are you going to do in the future? Like now that you spent this 350,000, like what are you going to invest into cyber? Like do you even have that money now? Where are you going to get the money to make your systems more robust? Because it's going to be pricey, especially like somebody coming in the aftermath. They're not going to
Mhm.
like their rate has changed. Yesterday's price is not today's price when it comes to securing your systems. And that's just year over year, but not now you've been the victim. Like now you're definitely not to pay like some really good money to get where you need to be. So I just think it's extremely expensive to cave to these people's demands. Like it cost you the 350,000 or the 400,000 because I guess they had to have some more funds, and then you're going to need money to then come in to fix your systems, to secure them properly, to build what you need to build, and then they may come back. I think it was either the Department of Justice or the FBI says that typically if you're hit with a ransomware, they come back, they double dip. So do you have another $350,000 to pay them or whatever they ask for? They might cut you a deal.
Right.
Like say we're back half price. Like you're gonna vote again? Like how does that work? Like I think it's just simply easier to recover from the paralysis that they had as opposed to pay the money because now they've caused more injury in my opinion. So I guess we will see what the future holds. But yeah, like Chris said, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
That's right.
But this time we did. So what have we set up for precedent from here on out, right? Like this county pays, so maybe the neighboring county will pay as well, and so on and so forth. It's like you're setting up. We all have to hold the line, or you're setting us up for failure, right? Because you've become the weakest link in this case. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, to be honest with you, when it comes to this one. But I think it kind of sucks that they felt they had to pay. So we will see what the future holds. So please continue to tune in throughout the week. So again, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask Sis Pete. I got a few of them lined up, so I'm very thankful for that. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So hit us up on the websites that go by our name. You can hit me up personally at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads. And you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Chris Abacon, last name spelled A Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.